you know what? Any message at any time, any place, anywhere is going to make an impact on one person. That is worth it. Welcome to the Life and Business Podcast. This is where I help you to live life well and do business better. And today I'm trying it out. We'll see how the audio works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I am recording just out, as you can see, outside. This is kind of a place where I come and journal and just like do a lot of reflection. And so it kind of just felt like I just felt led to share today a message about, I feel like the number one thing that affects our growth and our success and everything that we're trying to create in this world, the impact that we're trying to make, the gifts that we steward, the mission that we're on, it all comes down to this one thing. All right, so this is super impromptu. There's no script, there's no bullet points, there's just me kind of sharing what's kind of been on my heart. And so kind of going back to this intro of like what I feel like is the number one thing that is a determiner, I guess, a factor in how people create the life that they want, the business they want, or vice versa. And this all comes down to who your true self is, who you believe you are. This is really like your identity, essentially, right? I want to ask you guys these questions because who you are determines what kind of gifts that you will steward. And who you are determines the kind of impact you're going to make and the mission that you're on and who you're going to help and who you're called to help in the world. And some of it can be false selves, right? Where we have created these beliefs about ourselves because of things that people have told us in the past, our friends, our families, and even things that we have told ourselves about our lies. And so today I'm going to be walking you guys through some of these questions so that you can dive deeper and just really begin to think about the lies that you've been telling yourself, the lies that the world has been telling you, and then who you are actually, because who you are actually is going to really just impact the quality of impact that you make in the world. And even though we're starting with ourselves, this is not about ourselves. It's about what impact am I supposed to make? What mission am I called to be on? Who am I supposed to be helping? And in order to do that, I have to be my truest self. I cannot be faking it. I cannot be somebody else. I cannot be pretending to be somebody else. And so the first question that I have for you is, who does the world say that you are? Okay, the world as in your friends, your family, your colleagues, the internet, if you're surrounded by people on the internet, I want you to just really ask, what has the world said you are? Who has the world said you are, right? For example, people might call you a hot mess. People might call you lazy. People might say that you're not enough, you're not worthy, or you're ugly. And I want you to really just like spend a good amount of time there. 10, 15, 20 minutes, be honest with yourself and ask yourself, who has the world told you that you are? And then when you feel complete with that, I want you to move into the second question of, who do you think you are? Okay, these are very different questions. Who do you think you are? And this is going to be some of their thoughts and some of your thoughts, right? You might be like, oh my gosh, I am so lazy, but I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best, right? And other people might not think that you're doing your best. They might just be like, you're lazy, where you're like, oh my God, I'm trying my hardest. And I feel so lazy because XYZ. Other people are, affirming that belief in you, right? That you're lazy, but you believe you're doing your best. And then here's the next question. If you're just being completely honest with yourself, and if you're fighting for yourself because nobody else is, the only person that's going to fight for you is you or me. I'm also going to fight for you. And this is where I would want you to ask yourself, like, who is your actual true self? Not the lies of the world, not the negative self-talk that you give yourself or the world gives you, but who is your truest self? And I ask this question because I don't think that oftentimes we take a look at that question of like, who am I actually? Who am I really? Who was I actually called to be? I saw this quote that said, like you have to kill your old self to be like your new self, or the self you're meant to be, or something like that, right? And I actually don't believe that. I actually believe the complete opposite, where, God or whoever you believe in, right? I believe in God. So I believe that God has made you exactly who you're supposed to be. He made you just amazing and beautiful and courageous and worthy. I just feel like he made you all of this truth and all this amazingness. And over time, the world has packed on like clay. I imagine like clay. And that's like trauma and lies. Some of it is truth. Most of it is lies. And the world has packed on all this clay and molded you into what the world wants you to be. And you have even contributed to this, right? You see everybody packing on clay onto your mold, and you're like, I must do that, right? I must reaffirm that this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. And then eventually trauma comes, and, the clay is burnt, right? And when it's burnt, it solidifies and it gets hard. And now becomes your hard outer shell, and you don't know what's on the inside anymore. You just see what's on the outside, and you're like, oh, this must be my true self. And the reality is, you have to shed all of that. You have to remove all the lies of the enemy, all the lies of the world, all the lies that you have also told yourself, so that you can see your actual true self, the self that was always there, that has always meant to be on a greater mission, that has always meant to steward your gifts, that has always meant to make a bigger impact. And this is where I just invite you to think about, like, again, what are the gifts that you have? What are the gifts that you have deep down inside? And what are the gifts that the world has told you, no, you shouldn't do that because it's not safe, right? And kind of what I said on the first episode ever is, like, if you're ever trying to step into your calling, it's not going to be easy. The world, your friends, your family, they're all going to tell you, no, don't do this, and do that instead, right? Stay right where you are. Don't try this. And some of it is self-projection, but also some of it is just like our humanness. And we even believe it. I know so many people who have said, like, I wanted to do this thing, but other people told me not to. And then I didn't do it. And it's just like, who do you want to believe? The world or your truest self? And sometimes there's good in, listening to the wisdom of other people, but there's also wisdom in listening to ourselves. And this kind of makes me think about personality and character traits. And I talk to people often, and they're like, that's just my personality. Like, I can't change that. And this is where I want to begin to offer new things for you, new beliefs. I want you to just be open to the possibility that your personality can change, that you can change your personality. I kind of think about, the way I describe personality is like, maybe this is what you were born with or taught. Okay. Your personality is like, either you're born with this personality, or you kind of learn it at an early age. And then as you grow up, you realize, in adulthood, oh, I actually don't want to be this way. And then you do major life things that change your personality. And then there's character traits, which I feel like are built, okay? They're created as you grow up. And these character traits can be positive or negative, right? There might be a lack of character, actually, as some people would say, right? Or you might have amazing character. What I hear is that you can't change your personality, but you can change your character. But I would like to offer that you can change both, right? Your personality, again, I think about my 3.5-year-old. He is so wild and crazy. Okay. He's wild and crazy. In one piece, I'm like, that's his personality. He loves this freedom. Like his inside, he just craves this freedom. But also, I'm going to say, we have created the environment for him to have this type of freedom. We have 3 older kids. Well, 3 other kids besides, like, he's the youngest. And so he has not had that structure and that, like, redirection immediately like all the other kids. All the other kids, if they did something that was not aligned with our values or our beliefs, we would immediately redirect them and help correct them so that they would grow up and understand what's okay and what's not okay. In our 4th, he's just kind of free to roam around, right? And as a parent, I get to be so honest with that. And as he grows up, I get to be honest with that and say, hey, you know what? When you were little, we just let you do whatever you want. And now you're older, and here's the consequences for doing whatever you want. Now you fully understand the consequences of that. And I want you to take this piece of the self-identity. And I just want you to ask yourself, who has the world said that you are? And then who do you say you are? And then I really, really want you to just spend some time grounding yourself in the truth of who is your truest self. And kind of what I was saying earlier was like, if you don't want to fight for you, I can fight for you, right? As in, I will tell you who you are. And also, I want to just share quickly, like, the things that we believe about ourselves is not always intentional. They're unintentional beliefs that the world has given us, and then we choose to believe them as we grow up. And so I don't want you to feel any shame about this. I don't want you to feel any guilt about this. If you talk negatively to yourself, it's okay. That's so normal. So many people do that. I want you to just like acknowledge it and be honest with yourself, and then intentionally choose to speak to yourself a new way and speak to yourself in this new truth where I believe, again, like you don't have to believe what I believe, but I believe in this God, this creator of the entire universe and the cosmos. And I believe that he has created you as a beautiful, amazing, capable, worthy human being. And I believe that he has placed you exactly right where you are. And if you want to, right, you get to step into that relationship, and you get to step into a calling, and you get to come back into alignment. And that's kind of where I'll end it today, is that at the beginning of this episode, I was talking about how understanding your true self leads you into alignment with taking I wouldn't say the right, but the aligned actions. And this is because if I'm telling myself that I'm lazy and I'm not worthy of this calling, and who am I to make this kind of impact, and who am I to be recording this random podcast on by the cliffside, of the ocean, right? If I believe all these things about myself, 100% I would not be recording this podcast. 100% I would not be publishing this podcast. 100% I would not be trying to make an impact to one person today. This is why understanding your true self leads you into alignment action, where I'm like, okay, there's probably people walking here. There's people taking pictures. There's people hiking. There's like this couple hanging out over here, and they're far enough away. That's why I wanted a different spot, but I was like, they're hanging out. Let me move over. And so if I don't believe that, you know what, any message at any time, any place, anywhere is going to make an impact on one person, that is worth it. That is worth sitting here out in the open field with a mic and my tripod and my phone recording this, because I know that somebody today needs to hear this message of the sooner you're able to, one, identify who your true self is, and then two, step into alignment with that true self, which is going to require a lot of work, because that's going to require you to unbelieve, right? Not believe those lies anymore, and step into your true self. Every single day, every single minute, you're going to have to redirect your brain to the truth and not the lies, right? Of I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to make this impact. I'm supposed to do this thing. I'm supposed to impact these people. I'm supposed to say this thing. I'm supposed to share this one message today, and that's it. The sooner you get to take aligned action, the sooner you get to make this impact, and the sooner you feel that freedom, because you are stepping into exactly who you were created to be. You don't get to pretend to be anybody else anymore. You don't get to pretend to be a hot mess. You don't get to pretend to be lazy. You don't get to pretend to not be fit. You don't get to pretend to not have energy. You don't get to pretend to be anything else but exactly who you were meant to be. Somebody that has a calling on their life. Somebody that has an impact to make. Somebody that has amazing gifts that the world is waiting for right now. I really believe that everybody here, I was thinking about my 9-year-old, she's gonna be turning 10 in December. I'm like, I don't really put my kids on the internet, but I'm like, I want her to be on my podcast because she has so much wisdom to share, even at 10 years old. And I'm like, even she can make an impact on the world, right? And so I think about everybody listening to this. Everybody in the entire world has gifts to steward, has an impact to make, has a calling on their life, and has a bigger mission to be on. And I think the world is just waiting for you to step into your true self so that you can show up with your light shining all around the world.